Welcome to Anderson Speaks. I'm Dick Murgatroyd, and on this edition of Anderson Speaks, we have three great guests for you. Dr. Dallas Jackson, Superintendent of the Forest Hills School System, Ken Kushner, who's Director of the Anderson Township Park District, and Ann Schlegel and Ann Conway are going to be here to give us some exciting ideas about Thanksgiving dinner and also some interesting facts about Thanksgiving. So we want you to make sure you stay with us for the entire show and stay with us right now as we welcome our first guest, who is Dr. Dallas Jackson. Great to have you with us today. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us.
Well, thank you, Dick, for inviting me to be here today. What an honor.
It's education. I'm a real. It's a major part of my life. I think has been a part of education. How important it is to communities, and I have to commend you on here in Anderson Township, because Anderson Township's blessed with great school systems, and they do a great job. So that's got to be a plus to be the superintendent of that kind of a system.
Oh, absolutely. The Forest Hill School System in Anderson Township is literally ranked as one of the best in the state of Ohio, and it has been for the last several years.
Where did you come from? How did you get here? What's your background?
Well, actually, from the Central Ohio area. I graduated from the Ohio State University, my bachelor's degree in education.
Son of a gun, really?
Yeah.
I think I was there too.
And I was fortunate enough to get a job right out of college at Worthington City Schools, a suburb of the Columbus area.
Yeah, I lived in Worthington.
A fine school district.
Yeah, that's an excellent district.
From that point, after being a teacher and educator in Worthington Schools, I moved up into the administration realms. I got my master's degree from Ashland University, again another Ohio school. Became a principal in a small school district called Elida Local Schools. I was in the western part of the state. From that point, after being an administrator both at the elementary and the middle school level, I kind of took on a different role and became the assistant superintendent of another very fine school district of Sylvania Schools up in the Toledo area. I was there for about 5 years. And my wife and I decided we would start moving a little bit further south because the weather does get a little cooler in the Toledo area, flat and windy. But I became superintendent of the Miamisburg school system, which is right in the Dayton area, a nice suburban district of Dayton. And a little over 2 years ago, I was chosen to be the superintendent of Forest Hill School. So we've made our way from the Lake Erie all the way down to the Ohio River.
Well, it's a little warmer down here.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, quite a bit from the Lake Erie. Although we can get some nasty winters, but not quite as bad as up there. Well,
right.
we're glad you made it this far.
Well, thank you. Thank you much.
And you just keep working your way south as life goes on.
We end up being Florida sometime, maybe. I don't know.
I guess your interest in education, was that from the very beginning, or did you kind of work your way into that as you...
I don't know of a time when I didn't really know that I was going to be a teacher. I was a farm boy in Union County, and farming was phenomenal. It was a great experience. I learned a lot about life, but when it came to what I wanted to do with my career, it was education, being able to work with young people and make a change in their lives, and then on top of that, eventually working with the people that work with young people. And that's, I believe that it's been a good career thus far for me and my family, and I think that we've done a lot in education over the past several years.
So you started out at Ohio State actually on that path?
Yes, on that path.
When you began? Good. What was your first teaching assignment?
My first teaching assignment was at a small elementary school in Worthington, and it was in Colonial Hills Elementary, and I was a 5th grade math and science teacher. And then from that point, I taught everything from math to language arts to sciences, pretty much in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade level.
Do you miss teaching at all?
Yeah, I think I always miss teaching. That's why I try as much as I can to get out into our buildings and get my kid fix, I call it, so that I'm around kids. And I have a student advisory group now that I meet with from Forest Hills. I meet with middle and high school students to talk about what's going on in their lives and talk about how we can improve our district. So I keep I kind of keep involved in what the kids are doing.
Well, I think, because I had the good fortune to be able to teach at the college level. I actually taught at Ohio State. I was working there at the time because I was in the broadcast end of it, and so I started teaching in the broadcasting curriculum there, and then when I got here, I taught at Northern Kentucky University and also Thomas More. And I think of all my things I've done in my life, I think teaching is one of the things that I still treasure the most, and I still keep in touch with a lot of the students that I taught, and it's been great to watch them as they've progressed and through their lives, and to feel like you've been a very small part of that career. Since you've been in Forest Hills, one of the things I noticed is that you've really made an effort to engage the community in the education process. I know you do some State of the District meetings, and you've had some conversations with Dallas and surveys and things of that sort. Have you found that to be helpful?
I think it's key to my position, or the position of a superintendent, is get involved in the community, speak with the community, listen to the community, because basically a school system is the community. The more information that I can receive from our community, from the people, from not only people within the district, our parent groups, our teachers, but also outside of our tight-knit group, so to speak. I belong to the local Chamber of Commerce and several different organizations, and I try to get out as much as I can into the community and just kind of listen to what's going on.
Well, I mean, it's got to be helpful. Education really is such an important, actually, asset to a community. I think from the standpoint when people are looking to where they want to end up and live, and I noticed that there's a couple of things. Obviously, people look at cost of living and things of that sort, but education is one of the main things they look at as to what kind of a school system they have, what kind of, for their children in that community, and that's a big draw. So I would think that would be one of the things that and obviously you're working on that.
Right.
You're always constantly working on that to get that feedback and make the system as positive as possible. How many students in the Forest Hill school system?
There were 7,600 students.
Oh my gosh.
Quite a
Wow.
number of students. We have 9 different facilities, 9 different buildings, 2 high schools, 1 middle school, and 6 elementary schools.
Good heavens. Wow.
Right.
That's amazing. A lot of students to take care of.
A lot of students, but they're good quality kids. I mean, all kids are great, but what I've noticed being in Forest Hills is just what a great community to live in. The cost of living is very low. When you compare us to many of the other suburbs of the Cincinnati area, what we have available here at Forest Hills with the park system, and you're going to talk to Ken in a few minutes, and the different lifestyle benefits that we have in this area was one of the draws, of course, a huge draw that moved my family to this district.
What are some of the programs that you have instituted since you've been here and that you feel have really been beneficial?
Well, I think the one thing that was one of my key focus when I took on the job was to help our district kind of design a strategic plan. We have had goals in the past of what we would like to accomplish year after year, but we never had that long-term strategic plan. And so took several months, but during that first year and then beginning of last year, we developed a strategic plan, and it's fairly simple. It only has 5 significant, what I would call strategic goals, but under those 5 goals, of course, we've got a lot of strategic initiatives. One, of course, is to continue to provide the quality education to our students. Along that realm, I'm very pleased to say that over the last couple years, we've worked very hard at trying to offer more educational opportunities for our children. This year alone, we have 2 new classes in our schools that are actually offering dual credit to our students. So a child can take a Foundation of Education class at either Anderson or Turpin and receive not only high school credit for graduation, but they also college credit at the same time. So it saves mom and dad a little bit on the tuition, but at the same time it prepares our kids for that. The second course that I'm pleased that we have going this year is Introductory to Engineering.
Wow.
We have a lot of students now that are interested in engineering. It's one of the most popular fields in our society today, especially here in Southwest Ohio in the Cincinnati area. When I talk to many of our businesses, they're begging for engineers. So what we've done with this particular course is to make sure that kids get to explore that a little bit before they get to the college level, because that's such a directed, focused course at the
Absolutely,
university.
yeah.
So they can help determine right off the bat, is this something that I really want to do, and in what part of engineering would I like to pursue as a student. We are continuing to work on those types of courses, and actually more in the future.
You mentioned, do you try to, because you do get out in the community and you do talk to the business people in the community and that, does that help you? I mean, are you able to kind of adapt sometimes, which obviously you have with this engineering program, but able to change curriculum to try to keep up with and meet and help the young people get better
Yes.
prepared for the next step, whatever that may be? Some it may be college, some it may be going to work. Are you able to do that now in the school system?
You know, actually, yes. Unfortunately, things do take time to change, but one thing that I'm very proud of is that most recently, and one of our goals of the strategic plan is to increase our community partnerships. And one of the partnerships that we've most recently expanded was a partnership with Wellington Orthopedics and our Mercy Hospital. The reason that I bring that forward is the fact that now with those two entities on board, we are now designing different supports and classes that could be held at either Mercy and or Wellington.
Wow.
That will help our kids in those particular areas. If you take Mercy, for instance, Mercy is the largest employer in Anderson Township, but it's not just doctors and nurses as you would think of the medical profession. Think of the food services, the businesses opportunities that our kids have. The area of technology. In fact, last year, to have our students work with the new robot that they have at the hospital. All those are key pieces, I believe, in helping prepare our kids for this century and beyond. Again, if you take a look at what is an area in our country that has definite needs for our young people, and that's the area of medicine. So I will be working more and more with those particular entities to develop more classes and more opportunities for kids.
And that's continually changing.
All the time.
all the time, for sure. And in fact, we had some folks on that talked a little bit about the co-op programs that that are offered
Sure.
for these, and which for a high school, I think that's tremendous. It's a great opportunity for these young people to really get their feet foot on the ground and in some of these areas, just to see what they're all about. What are you seeing happening now? Because there seems to be a lot of opportunities for students when they do leave high school. To not all of them will go to college. Sure. What's the percentages at this point? Do you know, just as far as the number that maybe go on to college and those that don't, and maybe choose a different level of education, post-secondary education?
At Forest Hills in our district, we are well into the upper 90% of the students who actually attend college after graduation from high school.
That's excellent.
It is excellent. Now, our goal is just to begin to track some of those students. It's not, one of our goals, of course, is to help prepare kids for their careers and for college, but it's also to try to see how many of those kids stay with that particular endeavor. And so one of the things that we're beginning to look at is going beyond our high school days and looking at, again, how many kids actually graduated and in what particular areas. So that is something that we're beginning to track.
Well, because I think and the other thing too is I think with colleges and universities, I think one of the issues that they were finding that were creating challenges for them was a lot of the students who were coming into universities and colleges weren't really ready
Exactly.
For the university, and they were having to provide almost an interim high school education just to get them up to speed to be able to participate in the colleges and the university curriculum. And I think that is that changing, you think, now? Because I think high schools are more keyed into that and doing more at the high school level to make sure these kids are ready to go.
Dick, I think that is changing a little. I've had the opportunity to work with the University of Cincinnati as well as some individuals from Xavier. in that regard is helping our kids be prepared for college. There was a report that came out late last year from the state of Ohio that talked about the percentage of students that needed remediation in the state of Ohio, and that number was staggering.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, what was exciting, though, is that we looked at Forest Hills. And at Forest Hills, we were at the top in regards to the fewest number of students that needed remediation in math and in English. In fact, it was less than 10% of our students in either of those areas that needed any type of remediation. So we do a great job. Our teachers do a wonderful job in helping prepare our kids for that rigorous work at the college level.
Good for you. That's phenomenal. What are some of the challenges? I know finances are always a challenge for school systems and that, but what are some of the challenges that you, as a technology, what kind of a role has technology played in changing what we've known as in the past as education to compare to today?
Well, there are a lot of challenges that are amongst us in the field, but technology is one of them. We're fortunate that we have a community that supports the movement towards technology. In fact, this year we have a new program at our high school level called Power Up. And Power Up is actually encouraging students to bring their own devices to school so that we can utilize those their classroom work with those particular devices. In my own family, I have a senior and a freshman. And my freshman will take his device, his laptop with him every day. It's his new pen and pencil.
Oh, sure.
And with that, though, it's just not the substitute for pen and pencil. He has so much information available to him, and, you know, at just a click of the mouse, or not even a mouse anymore, a click of the pad. Yeah. But we're really embracing that with the Power Up program. We started this initiative at the middle school level 2 years ago at the 7th grade, and so it was 7th grade and then the 8th grade, and then this year at the high school level. Not only technology in the classroom, but what's exciting is utilizing technology for operational efficiencies. If you think about our use of paper, we're trying to go paperless in many different realms through our business operations, getting transcripts online rather than the old-fashioned paper copies and those types of things. So technology plays a key part of the educational field today. One that I sometimes joke with people that I'm a teacher. I was trained to be an educator, but yet over the last few years I now have to have some kind of a little bit of a background in how we can utilize technology not only in the classroom but also, again, for our entire operations.
Well, because this generation's grown up with technology.
Exactly.
I mean, they're so comfortable with it. They don't know anything else. You know, I mean, pencils and papers
right.
are.
You know, and that is actually a great question because that's a challenge to us old folks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, us educators, because something that we have to learn and how to utilize. The kids come in with already the knowledge.
Absolutely.
And so it's a little bit of a challenge for our teachers to understand that the kids that they're teaching have more and better understanding of technology than they do. And so in a lot of cases, our kids are teaching us how to utilize technology to better serve them.
Well, and that's only going to continue
Yes.
to grow. I mean, and I think from that standpoint, and the fact that it probably does change the whole approach to teaching for teachers.
Oh, it does.
I'm sure.
Completely.
Completely. Anything new that's coming up in this year for the school system?
Well, again, we are really focusing on two huge areas this year. One is the strategic plan. Those 5 goals we mentioned, you know, improving quality education for our students, improved district efficiencies in our operations, as well as expanding our community partnerships. And one is defining and redefining and improving our whole communication with our community, which I've been working on as well. And the last is facilities. We need to have a facilities master plan. Our buildings are aging. They're in great shape, but at the same time, we need to keep them updated. So that's one of the areas that we're working on. And then I'm really excited to bring to this district a program called 40 Developmental Assets, a program that we're expanding into the entire community, especially in our businesses, with our business partners. 40 Assets is a research-based program that basically says that there are 40 key fundamental assets or qualities that if kids have and possess them as they mature and they get older and they go off and become productive citizens, the more of those assets they have in their lives, the more successful they're going to be. And so we're really working hard in our district, as from kindergarten all the way up through high school and then outside of high school in our business communities, to help our students achieve some of those assets.
Well, I commend you for the great job you're doing. No wonder you love what you do and you're excited about it. And your students and teachers are very fortunate to be in a system like you have, and that's constantly thinking the next plateau and how do we grow. So, thank you for what you're doing, and I know that this community is glad you're here, and hope they'll keep you for a long time while you continue to grow this system. Thanks for coming today.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate it. Good to meet you.
Thank you.
Really, it's been a pleasure. Exciting.
Okay. Wonderful.
Thanks
Good.
much. We'll be back, and when we do come back, Ken Kushner, who is Executive Director of the Anderson Township Park District, will be here to talk about what's happening in the park system. So stay with us. Welcome back to Anderson Speaks. Our next guest is Ken Kushner. He's Executive Director of the Anderson Township Parks District. He is a native of Anderson Township, born and raised here. He graduated from Purdue University in 1991, and he began working at the Parks District in 1993 in the Operations Department and served as Operations Manager, and then became the Executive Director in 2007. So you've been here, you've just never left, you've just stayed here and said this is what it's going to be. And is this a career you started out wanting to do?
No, I didn't start out.
Oh, really?
No, I didn't, Dick. I started out, I wanted to be a forest ranger for the
Okay.
National Park Service.
Okay.
And long story short, life changes things. And there was an ad in the paper back in 1993, answered the ad, and I'm still here 20 years
Here you
later. and I can't be any luckier.
Well, that's, it's forest ranger. I mean, of course, you had to move. Not
That's
too
okay.
many forests around here.
That would have been okay with me.
Been all right, though, at that time.
One of my favorite places is Glacier National Park.
Oh, yeah.
Out there in Montana.
Yeah.
And that'd be okay.
But you put your skills to work here well.
Yeah, it seems like it's working out all
Yeah,
right.
you've done well. How long has Anderson had a parks district? Has it always been a parks district?
Well, fortunately for Anderson, back in the early 70s, there was a group of individuals who got together and said, it'd be a good thing to start a park district. So in 1975, that's when we came online. Our first park was opened in 1977, and people have been enjoying the parks ever since.
How many parks in the system?
Right now we maintain 13 properties, of which 10 of those are properties that the public is allowed to be on at all times, except in the evening, of course.
Now, of all those properties, how many of those are, I guess, what I call formal in that they are sports fields and things of that sort versus just general recreation?
Yeah, all of our properties are what we call active properties. We have sports fields, soccer, lacrosse, rugby, baseball, softball. We do have one property that is off the beaten path that consists of 90 acres of hillside that is a beautiful piece that will be able to be accessed at some point in the future. It's, again, we're active recreation. We don't have a whole lot of passive areas. William McNillian Johnson Hills Park is the closest to a passive area where there's hiking trails and just places where you can, when you're at that park, you can't believe you're in Anderson Township. You think you're out in the middle of the country somewhere.
I'm sure you probably suffer like a lot of parks districts do, is you never have enough fields to meet the needs of all the, softball, baseball, all of those things. Soccer, there's never seems to be enough soccer fields. Everywhere I've been, they always need more.
We have thousands of users. All of our fields are multi-purpose. Baseball fields will be turned in the fall to soccer fields or whatever the field needs to be. We just to accommodate everything, you have to rotate your fields so you don't have a problem with your maintenance and your budget getting out of line because, again, we have thousands of people using the fields.
And that's usually, I think, having had just a little bit of experience just at my end when I was judge executive of Kenton County. Biggest problem we had is that we didn't have enough fields, and you couldn't rest any of those fields because, especially with soccer, because there just were so many young people who were playing soccer.
Right,
and there weren't that many facilities, and it makes it tough because you really chew those fields up, and then they get into such bad shape, you got to almost start over.
Exactly, and people always wonder, why are your fields in that shape? And the biggest thing that we do is rotate the fields, and that's what enables us to do what we do today. For example, we have 50 athletic fields in the fall that people are using, and that's a lot of work. We cover the Park District has about 501 acres of property.
That's a lot of acreage.
It's a lot of acreage that we maintain, for the residents of Anderson Township.
Do they? Is there a fee? Do they pay a fee to use these facilities, or?
Well, the parks are free, except when you want exclusive use. And exclusive use would be when you want to rent a shelter, or you have baseball games at certain times. Because if you didn't have that, organizations could basically take over a facility and nobody would ever get to use it. So what we do is we make sure that everybody has a fair shot at what the facilities are. So everybody can get a certain percentage of time on it because we can't fill every need.
So they schedule.
They schedule
if they
through
want
us.
to use anything, they would schedule through the Parks
Correct.
District to be able to use those facilities.
Yep.
How's the district funded?
The district is funded through a tax levy that was passed in 2008 at 1.9 mil. Which is that's the catalyst to make everything happen. That's the first levy was passed in 1992, and it's an operating levy. So everything we've done has been on an operating levy, but we also raise on average about 30% of our income comes from outside sources: field fees, shelter rentals, concessions, anything that park banner. Our park banner program, grants, all kinds of ways to make it all work out.
Now, what's the park banner program?
Well, the park banner program is where businesses can be involved with us.
Kind of like sponsorship.
Sponsorship, yeah, and it's on the baseball diamonds, like you see in the outfield, the baseball diamonds, or our all-weather fields, our synthetic fields that are down off of Round Bottom Road. And a couple of the other parks. Kellogg, for one. The dog park has a couple of, or the dog field has a couple of banners on it. Just businesses who are interested, who like what we do and want to help
support
out.
it?
Yeah, like to support it.
Can individuals, is there a mechanism for individuals to donate if they wanted to?
There sure is. We have a Parks Foundation. Matter of fact, we are raising money for the Julius Park Playground. Right now that has been in use since the 80s, and now it's 2012, so 25 years later, it's had millions of uses, and we're replacing that. But the Anderson Foundation for Parks and Recreation is a way to help out the community.
Now, do you all, have, I guess, do you have programs and projects that you all sort of sponsor for the community also in the parks that people can participate in?
We sure do. Yeah, we have, the biggest one's Greater Anderson Days. We are the presenting sponsor of that.
Which is a great event. It's a lot of fun.
It's a large event. It takes a
yes,
lot of work. But, without our partners, the Anderson Chamber, the Greater Anderson Area Chamber, and Anderson Government, and the Post 318, that's a hard event to put on. But they help us with that, and then we go, we have an Easter egg hunt, mother-son dance, a daddy-daughter dance, it's unbelievable. We get 1,200 people come to that, dads who bring their daughters, and we have programs almost every day, all year. Our concerts in the park over at Beach Acres, sponsored by TP White and Mount Washington Savings Bank.
So you have some indoor facilities also?
We do. Over at Beach Acres, we have
That's
a
pretty
building.
big. That's a pretty big complex over there.
It is, yeah. The whole complex that we use is probably about 32 acres or so. And we have what is known as the Recplex. There's a gym in there, and that's where our recreation department works out of, and all of our programs that happen out of there. From tot time, where little ones can come play, to basketball leagues, volleyball leagues. Check out, if you get on our website, www.andersonparks.com, you can see everything that we have going on.
Do you sponsor leagues and things of that sort? I mean, do you have leagues that are just through the park system
Yes,
that
yes.
young people can participate in if they don't belong to any kind of a formal?
Yeah, we have
League.
recreational leagues, the volleyball league, basketball. We have what is known as little kickers, where young ones can come and learn how to play baseball, soccer. 3 and 4 years old.
You pretty
So-
much you span the whole age range as far as there's also things for older adults
Well,
that can
Yeah, we sure do.
participate.
We have adult soccer leagues, which play on our all-weather fields, and actually one of the gentlemen who was playing thought he couldn't play any longer until they went on the all-weather field, and he said, "You know what? I might be able to play a couple more years because it doesn't, it's even, it
Yeah.
doesn't tear up your knees and all that." But we the whole gamut, from walking your dog in the park all the way to just having fun on the playground.
So do you have a dog park?
We sure do. The dog field at Kellogg. Yes, and what's happening down there, if you go down to Kellogg Park on Kellogg Road, you'll see that Artworks is actually painting a mural on the side of this big concrete building.
Oh, is that right?
And the mural is 35 feet tall by, 70 feet long.
Oh my gosh.
It's unbelievable. It's really neat. So if people get a chance, stop by Kellogg Park, and this is the 57th mural painted in the city of Cincinnati
Wow.
through the Artworks program.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's a really neat
It should be.
It's a neat thing. In a dog field, again, that's an area that we have close to 400 dogs
believe
registered
it.
for that field, and it's an off-leash area. People love it. So
I got into that when I was judge executive. Some folks came to me and wanted to have a dog park, and we didn't have any dog park. And so, I said, well, if you all can get the money together and because I really wasn't aware of what a dog park was, but they convinced me that this was going to be a great thing. So we put one in at Pioneer Park. We built it, and they raised the money for it, and they maintain it. I mean, they take good care of it. And so, I mean, I was amazed. I mean, because I said, how do dogs get along?
no issues.
In a dog park, and they go, "Don't worry about it. That's fine."
Yep.
And so a year later, we expanded the thing and doubled the size because it was over. I mean, it was packed
Yep.
all the time. I was amazed at how many people use that dog park, and they're great about taking care of it.
Right. Well, that's the whole thing. The people have taken, the members of the dog park have taken ownership.
Yeah.
And really enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
And there are very few issues with the animals when they interact, but it's a nice facility.
It's a fun thing to. I mean, I loved watching it because I couldn't believe it. Just went the way it went as well as it did, and we had sponsors coming forward wanting to
Right.
sponsor
Right.
the dog park. So
it's
it's an amazing thing.
it sure is.
Do you have events throughout the whole year? I mean, as far as winter events also? I mean, I know you have the gym.
Yeah, we sure do. We have coming up is our Trunk or Treat in October. It's a classic car show where the owners of the cars are dressed up. They dress their cars up and are handing out candy there. And
Where do you do that?
over at Beach Acres
Acres,
Park.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
a lot of our events happen at Beach Acres Park. It was set up
You got a lot of room.
for events.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. It's a great setup for the community. And then we have the Santa's Workshop that's coming up where you can come get a picture with Santa and do ride his sleigh and you know, have cookies and hot chocolate and make a craft and just generally have fun. That's been going on for, you know, 25 years or so. So, you know, that's coming up. And then in February, the Daddy-Daughter Dance, a huge program.
So you have a lot of things going on in the
yeah.
called off season until the you know, sports picks up again.
Right. Yeah, it's never a
outdoors.
dull moment.
No, it doesn't sound like it. It doesn't sound like it. Well, how big a population do you serve?
I believe it's, well, I see all kinds of numbers, but the one I'll use today is about 45,000.
It's a good, lot of people.
That is a lot of people.
A lot of people. It's a big, parks are important though, I think, as I said earlier. I think for people when they choose a community, one of the things they look for is what kind of facilities there are available as far as parks and recreation is concerned. That does mean a lot to, and especially the younger, newer generation really loves the outdoors and wants to be able to, and you know, to participate in
Right.
in trails and just walking and just being able to get outside and do things.
Right.
And you've got plenty of facilities for them doing.
We do, and you know, you hit on something, Dick, that is really important to a lot of people. Our trails and our parks. And matter of fact, the trail system that goes throughout Anderson Township is very highly used. And what people are now asking for is, well, where can we do that when the weather's bad, you know? A lot of people go to Eastgate Mall, places like that. But, you know, the trails, I just left Julius Park to come over here. And, you know, there were 60 people walking their dogs on the trails.
Sure.
It's amazing. You know, when the economy changed, the participation in what happens in the parks has increased dramatically.
Oh, absolutely. Well, people are staying closer to
That's
home
right.
and they can still go out and do things that they want to do. And I have some friends that walk year round, and I don't care how bad the weather is.
Yep.
There's a trail system over in Fort Mitchell, and they every Sunday without fail they walk those trails. I mean, that's their recreation, that's
right.
their exercise. And they enjoy it. Volunteers, I mean, can you use volunteers? You need volunteers? And
We
if,
need
if somebody
volunteers.
wants to volunteer, how do they do that?
Well, again, we need volunteers. We always need volunteers for every program we have. Again, you can get on our website, www.andersonparks.com, to volunteer. We have programs throughout the year, you know, and just call over at the office and we can get you in line for whatever program you'd like to volunteer for. You know, for example, we just had the Run to Remember, a huge program for us that helps to raise funds for the playgrounds. And we had 120 volunteers for that, I believe.
Wow.
And the run itself, participants, we had almost 1,100 participants in the run.
Excellent. Yeah.
It was a great event. So
You're a busy guy.
You know what? Everybody that I work with is very busy. They do great work.
Well, you must have a great staff, and it does take a lot of volunteers to make,
It sure
make
does.
those things happen. So
It sure
anybody
does.
that's interested and wants to take part and be a part of that, they can get a hold of you, and there's always going to be room for them, I'm sure.
Yeah, hey, just call me anytime about anything that goes on with the parks because, you know, we can't be everywhere. We try to maintain them to the best that they can be. You know, the public is rough on facilities, but that's why they're built the way they're built.
Yep, that's exactly right.
And, you know, people always ask, well, why does something cost so much? Well, because it's in the public, it's not your house.
That's right.
You know, so you got to build them a certain way. You know?
And then it does cost something
Yeah.
to maintain them.
Yeah. But
Well,
you
go ahead.
know, the best thing, Dick, is I'm really happy to have, you know, to be doing what I'm doing because we get the best of people's time. They choose to come to the parks and use the parks.
Absolutely.
And that's pretty amazing to me.
And to know that you're able to provide them the facilities to do what they want to do and enjoy. So,
Yeah.
well, it has been a pleasure having you on, Ken. And I just say congratulations to you and your staff for the great job you do on for the folks of Anderson and with the district. So,
Well, thank
you landed well, sir.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your time. And again, we can't do this without the residents of Anderson Township.
Well, you
Yeah.
got a good place to do it. So
Oh, that's for
keep
sure.
up the good work.
All right.
Thanks
Thank
a
you.
million for being here today. Thanks for taking time to join us.
All
Good to
right.
see you.
Good to see
Yeah,
you. Thanks,
keep
Dick.
up the good stuff. Well, Well, we'll be joined by Ann Schlegel and Ann Conway when we come back, and they'll have some interesting tidbits about Thanksgiving and about your Thanksgiving dinner, so be sure to stay with us. Welcome back to Anderson Speaks as we welcome two guests I've been looking forward to in the entire show. Ann Schlegel, who's been with us before, and Ann Conway, who's with us for the first time, I guess, on Anderson Speaks. Welcome to both of you. We have two Anns, so I'm not sure how I'll manage this, Ann 1 and Ann 2, but anyway, great to have you both with us. We're kind of focusing on Thanksgiving because it's November, and that's the major holiday along with Veterans Day. You are an award-winning cook, and most people know you because you're on the air every week, and you're still doing your TV show here on ACTV. You're both members of the ACTV board, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
So what awards have you won this year?
Well, I have won 4 Best of Shows at the Hamilton County Fair this year.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, I got Best of Show in preserves with my cherry jam. Best of Show in yeast breads with my sunflower seed oatmeal bread. Best of Show in the pie competition with my blackberry pie.
Ooh.
And also, I got Best of Show in party snacks with my spiced peach soup.
Good heavens. Well, you've been a busy lady. Good for you.
Yes,
Congratulations.
yes.
That's neat.
Oh, thank you. And then in September, I also won first place in the pie competition, the apple pie competition, at the Anderson Farmers Market.
Oh my golly! Well,
So
you are definitely. I mean, we're among fame here. That's terrific. Well, congratulations.
Oh, well, thank you. It's been a fun year.
It has been. It really has been. Because the last time you were here, we talked about the farmers market. I think.
Yes.
Because you were going to be at the one. I forget what month it was now, but you brought along some special things for Thanksgiving.
Yes.
So you want to tell us about kind of what you brought with you and
Sure. I have brought along a nice make-ahead, quick and easy dessert. And this is a pumpkin pie, or pumpkin pudding. It's like a pumpkin pie without the crust. And I've topped it with some toasted chopped pecans. So that gives it a nice little crunch. And would you like to try some?
I would love to, yeah. Should we do it now, or do we want to wait?
Would you like me to tell you first
Yes,
how I make it?
we need to do that, and we also
Okay.
want to tell everyone that they'll be able to get the recipe on your Facebook page. Tell them how they can do that.
Yes, my television show, Tasty Treats from Ann's Kitchen, has a Facebook page. And so it's www.facebook.com/Tasty Treats from Ann's Kitchen. And I'll have the recipe there.
Okay. Good.
Yes.
And we'll show that on the air also.
Yes.
Because I know people, when they try to take down recipes, they forget. They leave something out, and then they wonder why it didn't work. So tell us what's in this.
Yes,
Tell
well,
us
I
what
have a
all-
recipe card here for you and for you too.
Terrific.
Ann. Yes. So anyway, it's very easy to do. All you do is you start out with a 15-ounce can of pumpkin, and you stir in some brown sugar and some spices and a little bit of salt. You stir that together really well, and then you whisk in a couple of large eggs, half a cup of half and half, a couple of tablespoons of melted butter, and just stir it all together really well. Pour it into a 9-inch deep dish pie plate, and then you bake it in the oven.
Oh.
And bake it at 375 for 25 to 30 minutes or till it's set. And then when it's done, you take it out, and then while it's cooling, you can toast the pecans. I take half a cup of chopped pecans, and then toast them in the oven for 5 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And then I stir it halfway between the cooking time, or baking time, and then at that point, when they're toasted, let them cool completely, and then put them on the cooled pumpkin pudding when they are cooled.
So now, would you do that the day of the day you're going to serve it?
I do it the day before.
Oh, do you?
I made this last night.
Okay.
So
And then once you've made it, do you leave it sit out, or you put it in the refrigerator, or how do you?
you refrigerate it until
Refrigerate it.
serving time, yes. Since it has the eggs in it and the cream,
Well, yeah, okay.
it needs
yeah.
to be refrigerated.
Yeah, yeah. And then you can just take it out and serve it the next day. 'Cause
Yes.
So it really does. It is kind of like a pumpkin pie. It just doesn't have the crust,
Yes.
which means that we can eat that and feel good about our calories.
Exactly. Exactly.
Is that true?
Well, it is. You can feel good about it. It does have a little bit of, it's got half and half in it and a little bit of butter. And it's got
but
sugar.
hey, but come on. I mean, it's not going to be good if it doesn't have those things in it. I mean,
Yes.
sometimes we have to treat ourselves.
Yes. And
Well,
you can serve it just like this, or you can have fun with it. And what I like to do is I like to serve it with some ice cream on top. And then I brought some turkey-shaped cutout cookies here. And so I like to put those on top too.
How clever.
Yes.
Now, those are just
So,
regular cookie recipe that you have, and just
any rolled out cookie recipe that you have, your favorite one, and a turkey-shaped cookie cutter, and then you're all set.
and you've got turkeys.
Yes.
Terrific! What a great idea. So are we going to
Yes.
sample this
Yes.
now?
It
So-
smells wonderful, Ann.
It smells good. I mean, it's been sitting here. I'm thinking, let's
Oh,
see
thank
here.
you. Yes. Well, I brought my ice cream with me. I've
She-
been keeping it cool.
She's prepared, Ann.
Always.
She definitely is.
Always.
So we'll get this.
What other
Into
things
dishes.
while you're doing that? What other kind of things or ideas would you have to suggest for folks that are thinking about putting together a Thanksgiving dinner? Any other hints or that you
Oh,
little
sure.
tips that you'd like to share?
Yes, I would recommend doing as much preparation in advance as you can, because Thanksgiving is a time to spend with your family and friends, and you don't want to be stuck in the kitchen all day.
No.
And so I like to make rolls ahead of time, for example, and freeze them. You can do that really well with yeast rolls. You can make cranberry sauce a day in advance. You can do a lot of things ahead of time and just chill it in the refrigerator until the day of and then reheat.
I had an aunt that was a great cook, and she had a big family, and going there for Thanksgiving was just a real treat because that kitchen was just a constant motion
I bet.
of cooking and the smells of the dinner all day long. I mean, it was, oh wow, I mean, it was just it was phenomenal.
I think Thanksgiving is one of those holidays we all have memories of that, from our childhood that stay with us.
Yeah, I think that
Oh, yeah.
that's just that particular meal is a special. It's always been a special meal, and it just seems like I remember that as long. I mean, I was just a little kid at the time, but
Yeah.
I really looked forward to going to her house for Thanksgiving. But
Oh,
it
how
looks
pretty.
beautiful.
Okay,
Oh,
we'll just
oh
stick
my
that
goodness! Look at
in.
that. Is that not neat?
So it just can kind of stand up in there. And there you got a lovely dessert. So there you go. Enjoy.
It looks terrific. I'm going to take a bite while you talk.
Okay.
Oh, thank you
And
so
for
much,
you.
Ann. Oh, it's lovely. It smells wonderful.
That's
So,
terrific.
Oh, well, thank you.
That really is. That is wonderful.
Thanks. Well,
Good
as
God.
I said,
You
it's
don't mind
very
us
easy.
watching and just eating while you're watching, do you? That is excellent. I like that because I love pumpkin though.
Yeah.
I can eat pumpkin
Me
forever.
too. They might have to get back to us about the show, I think.
That's great. That is excellent. So, if they want the recipe, tell them again.
Yes.
Your Facebook, how they get to your Facebook page.
It's www.facebook.com/Tasty Treats from Ann's Kitchen.
Okay. And
Yes.
so, and the recipe will be on there, and it'll tell them
Yes.
how to do it. It's very simple. I mean, it's simple once you look at it and just remember. Because for me to cook this, I'm not sure it'll turn out that way because I'm not the greatest cook in the world. But I like to eat other people's cooking. That's why.
It works for me.
But that's wonderful. I love it. It's just perfect. Absolutely perfect. Yeah, good.
Well,
This
very
is another
easy.
award-winning program for you. Ann Conway is here. Ann is with the library. You are a reference librarian
Yes, I am.
at Anderson Branch.
Yes.
Tell us tell us a little bit about what a reference librarian is.
Well, I have a master's degree in library science, so they allow me to answer questions and find materials and search the internet and that sort of thing. So I kind of guide the patron along to finding the materials that they're interested in.
Good for you. Yeah. That's very nice, though.
It
to do
is.
that.
It's a wonderful job.
You've got some things happening at the library you want to talk about?
Oh, yes. I was going to tell you, first of all, we are lucky to have a group with us called the Anderson Township Library Association, and every fall they have a smaller sale than the one that they have in June. This sale is a holiday sale, and the materials that are available at this sale are all brand new or fairly new materials, including DVDs and CDs and, of course, books. And they will sometimes group things together and put them in baskets to make it even more interesting to shop. But these items could be purchased for gifts. If you're looking for some Christmas gifts, that maybe you have friends who are interested in library materials or books, this is a good way to do it. And this sale is in November. It's the 8th through the 10th of November. And this sale takes place at the Anderson Library. The big sale, which is in June, takes place at the Nagel Middle School. But this is on site. We have it in the children's room, and we also have it in the meeting room. So it's a fairly, as much as we can cram into our location, we'll have going that day. So if you want to pick up some really interesting things, perhaps for Christmas gifts, it's a good place to start.
You've come up with some of the most interesting tidbits about Thanksgiving that I had no idea existed. So I want to talk a little bit about those.
I had a lot of fun in investigating Thanksgiving, and of course, most all cultures have some type of Thanksgiving or feast day in the fall to celebrate the bounty from the earth and what they have sustained themselves through the year. And so Thanksgiving isn't exactly a novel idea, but the first Thanksgiving, as we call it, wasn't celebrated by the Pilgrims in New England. It was celebrated by Ponce de Leon in 1531 in Florida. That isn't exactly our idea of where Thanksgiving was first celebrated. Another one that came after that was Coronado had a celebration in Texas in 1541. So,
wow.
yeah, but as an organized community group, I think that the first Thanksgiving that we always think of in the 1600s, and that depended on weather. They think it happens sometime between mid-September and the first 2 weeks of November, depending on the weather. It was an interesting time because, of course, it was as you can imagine, very rough for individuals to come to this new land and not be totally equipped to handle it. But the Indians in that area, they were a wonderful group of people led by Massasoit, who was their chief, and he rounded up all his Indians and helped us get through that first winter. They attended the very first. As a matter of fact, there were 90 Indians to 55 Pilgrims.
Wow.
Or new settlers at that time, and they didn't come empty-handed. They brought 5 large deer to the feast. There were only 4 ladies left at that particular time. Unfortunately, the winter had been very rough, and we lost, out of 20 women, we lost 16 women that first winter. So there were only 4 women. So everybody had to have pitched in and done some of the preparation for this particular meal.
Wow.
So it was really interesting.
Did they have turkey?
They probably had turkey. We don't find too much reference to specifically turkey, but they had lots of wild fowl. And of course, if it flew and they could catch it, or if it trotted and they could catch it, then they probably tried baking it too, or roasting it outside, because of course there were no interior ovens or that sort of thing. They did all their cooking outside at this point. So there were waterfowl and wild fowl, and of course deer and rabbits and squirrels and other types of meaty meats. But they also had a lot of crabs and clams that they could harvest from the ocean there on that particular area, and fruits, and of course pumpkin was there. But we wouldn't have found mashed potatoes, and we wouldn't have found pumpkin pie. Those were later developments. Those, and may have been cranberries included, but probably not in the sauce, because a lot of the supplies that the Pilgrims had run out. So, and there was no cheese and no that sort of thing that had, their supplies were just gone. So they had big, large wooden tables that they put outside the village. The feast actually lasted for 3 days. And they filled the tables, and everybody just partook of the food. And it was kind of a diplomacy as well as a Thanksgiving with all the Indians accompanying the Pilgrims or the first settlers there. Sometimes some of the original Thanksgivings could be kind of somber because they also included some Puritans who they wanted a more religious holiday. Unfortunately, Thanksgiving kind of got lost on us at one point. It was always involved in New England. People always celebrated in New England, not on any specific day, but according to the weather. But by the early 1800s, it had kind of faded away, and nobody was really participating in it. But we had a very interesting young lady. Her name was Sarah Hale, who was from New Hampshire, who was very proactive in getting Thanksgiving restored as a holiday. Now, of course, in 1779, George Washington proclaimed the fourth Thursday of November as a national day of Thanksgiving and prayer. But as I say, that kind of waned after a few years, and people weren't really celebrating it. Well, Sarah Hale, who was on a farm, her claim to fame is a little ditty called "Mary Had a Little Lamb." She actually wrote that. She was a teacher, and one of her students brought a lamb to school every day, and it did stay outside until the little girl was released from class and would follow her home then. So this "Mary Had a Little Lamb" is actually based on factual information. But she went on to become an editor of a women's magazine. She edited both Ladies magazine and Godey's Ladies magazine, and of course they had all the fashions and the most recent culinary arts and that sort of thing. And now this was in the 1820s, which was an unusual time for a woman to be involved in any type of publishing. So Sarah Hale was very much advanced, but she took the cause of Thanksgiving up, and she really rallied with it. She wrote letters for years. From 1847 to 1863, she wrote letters to every president, including, Taylor, Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan, and finally Lincoln. She wrote letters to every governor and to all the Congress members, and of course editorialized in her magazine columns about reinstating Thanksgiving as a national holiday. She didn't get her way until finally Lincoln decided, because the Civil War was so hard on the settlers and hard on the people of the United States, that in 1863 he did sign the proclamation.
So we finally got it back. You've got a wealth of information. Can people come to the library and find more of that out?
Certainly. There's a lot of interesting websites, but there's a lot of books that I found. Probably the one that I think was the most helpful. All the Thanksgiving books that we have at the library all seem to have some type of introduction that's at least half about Thanksgiving, and this book was just a wealth of information. I really enjoyed it, from finding out about football was actually played in the 1870s, and some of the games had up to 40,000 people attending them. That was before television. Oh, wow. So,
we got to run because we haven't got much more time.
I know.
You two, we could do a whole show with both of you.
We could.
Ann Schlegel, it's so good to see you again. Ann Conway, thank you for being here with us. And go to the library. You can find out all kind of things at the library. And we want to thank all of our guests today, Dr. Dallas Jackson, Ken Kushner, Ann Schlegel, and Ann Conway, for being with us. We want to thank our producer, Nikki Bishop, and of course our director, Andy Crozier. And a special thanks to you for joining us on this edition of Anderson Speaks. I'm Dick Murgatroyd, and as we gather to celebrate this very special time with our family and friends and give thanks for all of our blessings, please do remember those who serve in our military who are not going to be able to be home with their families this Thanksgiving. We appreciate your being with us, and we'll see you on the next edition of Anderson Speaks. Thank you.